Alright, so today's video is going to be getting ready with me while I tell you some more rules from the Baptist college that I went to. We're going to be doing my hair, and also, just fair warning, I'm also eating pretzels while doing this, so if you hear me crunching or I pause for a minute, that's why. First rule that I'm going to really go over is it's not really a rule, it's more of a observance. There was a lot of favoritism that was happening. A lot. If you had a certain name, you were gonna have favoritism from a teacher. I will say I luckily had this with one teacher, but that was strictly because he was a missionary sent out of the church that I grew up from, and he was the Sunday school teacher to my dad when my dad was a teenager. That's literally it. That is the only reasoning. Any other staff person, they liked me, but I wasn't one of their favorites, and you could tell who their favorites were. It wasn't a secret by any stretch of the imagination. The rule number 2, there is this thing, most of these are going to be about the dating scene for the college, so just fair warning and keep that in mind. The first one, it's called a friendship pass, and essentially for the friendship pass, it was a contract that you would sign, that you would give to that you would call your parents about, and you talk to your parents about it, saying, hey, I want to get this friendship pass. It's essentially a written contract so that you can go through the talking stage in your relationship. I know a lot of couples who skipped the friendship pass entirely and just went straight to the courtship pass, but a lot of them would start out with this friendship pass and then they would move on to the courtship pass, which now I will talk about. The courtship pass, so courtship pass allowed you to go on dates. You were allowed to sit by each other in chapel. You were allowed to sit by each other on the bus. You were allowed to sit in chapel next to each other. You were allowed to sit on the bus next to each other. You could go on dates, but your dates had to be accompanied by a chaperone. And these chaperone people were approved people in the church. The school literally had a list of people who were approved people in the church to go on these dates with you. This kind of leads me to number 4, I think. You could not go off campus with your significant other by yourself. You were not allowed to do that. You couldn't go off on your own thing. Leads me to another one that I didn't even have written down. You could not work at the same establishment together. For example, my friend was working at Chick-fil-A, and her significant other also so happened to work at Chick-fil-A, and they told him that he had to go find another job because they couldn't work together at the same place. Heaven forbid they both have bills and have to figure out this whole college thing together. And then the last one that I have is called the Happy Meal rule. I'm not even kidding. And they referred to every single person in this Happy Meal as fries because they didn't want you grouping off by yourselves. So they would call this thing the Happy Meal rule, and you would have to be in groups of at least 5. So groups of 5, 2 boys, 2 girls, but they can't be in the group of 4 by themselves, so they have to get a 5th random person and hope that that random person is going to be okay with 5th wheeling. You better hope that they're a real good friend of yours. If you don't have that 5th person, you get called out for it. There was a staff guy he'd be patrolling the atrium, and he would notice this group of 4 kids that's sitting there by themselves without this 5th person, and he would be, hey, so y'all are missing a fry from your Happy Meal. Here's where your favoritism comes in. It was okay for this group of kids because it consisted of 3 out of 4 people who were one of his favorites, so they were fine. But then I was in a group one time where we only had 4 people instead of 5, and he walked by and he was like, so hey, y'all are missing a fry out of your Happy Meal, y'all better split it up. I watched that happen multiple times. I had a friend who was there. We're gonna call him Joe just for privacy reasons. Me and Joe, we were friends. We could sit in one of the study rooms completely by ourselves right next to each other, no problems. But then as soon as it was someone else who there was any kind of an inkling that they liked each other, all of a sudden, nope, let's shut that down. That's all I have for the rules today. I'm gonna let these sit and then I'm gonna go live to then hang out and just talk a little bit more. So thank you for watching, and if you have any more questions, please comment down below.